Stephanie here with A Crafty Home, and today is Top 5 Wednesday. Today's topic, or if you don't know, Top 5 Wednesday is a group created on Goodreads by Ginger Reads Laney. I will link it in the description down below if you want to join in. It's a great way to have something to talk about. They're fun topics. Sometimes I don't know what to do for them, like the next one I'm going to have to skip out on because it's next week's is Top 5 series that didn't end well or something like that, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. I know some that supposedly don't end well, but I haven't read them, so I don't know. Anyway, today's is Top 5 Bookish Habits, which is a fun one. A little easier for me. I don't know, the ones that are like books, they're fun, but I have such a horrid memory that I have the hardest time figuring that out. But this one is easy. Okay, so let's go. These are in no particular order because, well, they just aren't. Okay, let's see. Now, I wrote these down last week, and the first one that I picked was that I don't leave the dust jackets on a book when I read them. However, I found that that is not true anymore. I used to always take the dust jackets off, but I find now that I leave the dust jackets on. I feel like it protects the book more, and I've kind of gotten good at how I hold it so it doesn't bother me anymore. I actually prefer it. So maybe, I mean, that's kind of odd, actually. I just watch Rachel from Rachel's Page Turners, and she also leaves that on because she's really like worries about her books, and I'm like that too. Like a paperback, I'm really careful. Like the Brandon Sanderson books I have, I was real careful not to open them too much because I didn't want cracks on the spine. Although I do prefer paperback, but I like that paperback that's like, because see, look, here's my Brandon Sanderson, and this is really tightly bound and big. And so I could open it pretty good, but I couldn't like really open it wide because some spots especially I was constantly like feeling the spine to make sure I hadn't cracked it. But then there are other paperbacks, which I don't have one here, but like Divergent comes to mind. The Divergent paperback is like real floppy, and so it opens nicely. So yeah, I kind of prefer paperback, which is probably weird. Okay, that's almost like 2 bookish habits in one. Okay, let's see. Bookish habit number 2 is that I take a book everywhere. And I bet that most of you are like me. I take a book, like I always have to have a book. The other day I was out doing errands and I had just been at the chiropractor. And so I had a book, which he's always way too fast, and the receptionist is a friend of mine, so we chat. So I hardly ever get to read. The one time I had to run out the door without my book, he was actually behind because there was this new patient that was like talking to him for like an hour, and so he was way behind and I didn't have my book to read. That will never happen again. I always make sure I have it. So anyway, the other day I went to the chiropractor, had my book in my purse, and then I'd run some errands and I went to Walmart, and I was like, well, I don't need to carry this book like in my purse because it was making it kind of heavy, and I was like, yeah. And then I rethought it. I thought, what would happen if there was an emergency? What if the doors locked and we couldn't get out? Or what if, you know, I'm like going through these scenarios, is like, I'd have to have a book with me. What if I didn't? Oh my goodness. And I know that like you have books on your phone, so I mean technically we kind of all do because, you know, Kindle apps or whatever, but yeah, I always have to have a book with me. It's like my security blanket. And I seriously, I mean, if people saw the times I go get my book to put in my bag, it's like, you're not gonna read there. I'm like, you never know. Never know what might happen. Book number 3, or bookish habit number 3, is that I hug my books. Do you hug your books? I hug my books in bed. So, okay, so like when I was reading The Final Empire, or really any book, this is just the book I have next to me at the moment because I need to film a review on it, but especially like hardcovers. Do you pet your books? I pet my books, especially like if they're pretty hardcovers. I just, depending on the cover, I just want to feel it. And my husband will be wanting to watch like a YouTube video with me or something, so we're laying in bed watching them. And I really want to be reading first of all, but I do things with him too. I do enjoy it. It's just I'd rather be reading. But I'll like take the book and I'll like hug it and I like pet it, and he'll be like talking to me and he wants to take the book away so I won't be tempted to read it. And I'm like, no, just let me pet it, touch it. I love the book. Okay. I know I'm not the only one who does that. I also like to smell books. Smell of pages. It smells so good. I even like musty smelling books, which is strange. Is that strange? I like the smell of old books. You're getting way more than 5 bookish habits here. Bookish habit number 4, I love the sound of flipping pages. And especially like in my Bible that has like those oniony, really thin paper. Like we'll be sitting in church, I don't even notice that I'm doing it, and I'm like got my Bible open and I'm just sitting there, you know, because you're just in one page, and I'm sitting there like playing with the pages because I like the noise and the feel of them. Yeah, sorry you couldn't see that. Like this. Have it open and I'll be like going like that, except it sounds really cool in the Bible, and my husband's like, stop it. Yeah. Then bookish habit number 5, I am mostly a monogamous reader? Yes. I read one book at a time. I know a lot of people read multiple, and sometimes I'll have multiple on my, like, if you look on my Goodreads on the reading, what I'm reading right now, like right now I think it shows 3 books, but one of those is one I started, a nonfiction one, and I haven't finished yet, so it's just kind of sitting there, so I'm not really reading it actively at the moment. The other one is one that I'm reading out loud to my son, but it's like a full-length book, so I just have it there because I'm going to count it as a book read because I'm reading it to him, but it's just kind of slowly going along. But as far as like something I read at night, I'm pretty monogamous. The only time I read more than one at a time is if I have to read a nonfiction, and I always couple that with a fiction book because I try to just read a little bit of it at a time, unless it's one that's really gripping me, because I find nonfiction is more like, usually it's something that I'm studying, not necessarily studying, but that I'm learning from, and so I just read a little at a time. But for the most part, I just read one book at a time. So what about you? What are your bookish habits? Those are just a few. I mean, I've watched other people's videos and I'm like, oh yeah, I do that. Oh yeah, I do that. Like Rachel, I just watched her videos, so that's why it's fresh in my head. She was talking about when she goes to like her friends' houses, you know, she takes everything within her not to go and look on their shelves. Are you like that? I'm so like that. Like, I just want to go look at your bookshelf. Do I have to talk to you? I'm just gonna check out your books now and open them all and look at them all and maybe read a little bit from some of them and ask you to borrow all of them. Like, that's the first thing I want to do when I go to somebody's house. Oh, you have books. I want to see what you like. Those are the things we do, right? So what are your bookish habits? I would love to hear down below. And until next time, I'll chat with y'all later. Bye.